Greetings, dear reader. It's wonderful to have you here. If you're like me, your garden is more than just dirt and plants. It's your sanctuary, a serene spot where you can relax, think, and just exist. But let's be honest, gardening doesn't feel quite the same as it used to. Stooping over, that can lead to an afternoon of aching muscles. Getting down on your knees to pull weeds, your joints don't always cooperate with that idea. And have you noticed how pricey garden supplies have become lately? It seems like everything carries a hefty price tag these days. The good news is, you don't need to spend a fortune or strain your back to enjoy a flourishing, beautiful garden. After many years with my hands in the soil and the sun on my face, I've learned that some of the best gardening tricks are the ones that cost absolutely nothing. They're the ideas shared from neighbor to neighbor or discovered through trial and error in the early hours of a quiet morning. And that's what I want to share with you today. In this guide, I'm going to walk you through 15 of my favorite free gardening tips and tricks. These are perfect for anyone who wants to make gardening easier, more affordable, and more joyful, especially if you're over the age of 60. So go ahead and pour yourself a warm cup of tea or coffee, settle into your favorite chair, and let's take this time together. Whether you're a lifelong gardener or just getting started again after some time away, there's something in here just for you. Let's grow something beautiful together. Tip 1. Let your garden water itself with a plastic bottle hack. Let me tell you something that has saved me more times than I can count. Back when I was younger, I could spend hours in the garden, watering each plant by hand, enjoying the sunshine and the rhythm of it. But these days, lifting a heavy watering can, dragging a hose around, bending over for each pot, it can feel like a full workout. And if I get too busy or tired and forget to water for a day or two, the plants sure do let me know. That's why I fell in love with this simple trick. You don't need anything fancy. Just take a regular plastic bottle, maybe an old soda or water bottle, poke a few small holes in the cap using a pin or a small nail, and fill it with clean water. Then, turn it upside down and bury the top part into the soil near your plant. What happens next is a little like magic. The water slowly seeps into the soil over time, keeping it moist for days. No overwatering, no dried out roots, and no need to remember to water every single morning. This is perfect if your memory isn't what it used to be, or if your hands and knees are asking for a break. It's also wonderful for anyone planning a weekend away. You can walk out the door knowing your plants will still be happy and hydrated when you return. And perhaps best of all, it's free. You're giving something that might have gone to the trash a new, helpful purpose. That kind of simple, clever reuse. That's what gardening is all about. It's not just about growing plants. It's about growing smarter and taking care of yourself while taking care of your garden. Tip 2. A bird feeder that brings peace and joy with an old cake stand. Have you ever just sat still in your garden and listened? No tools in your hand, no chores to finish, just listening. Maybe you hear the wind rustling through the leaves, the soft hum of bees nearby, or if you're lucky, the cheerful song of a bird in the distance. There's a kind of quiet joy in those moments that no store-bought thing can give you. And that's where this next tip comes in. You might have an old cake stand tucked in the back of your cabinet. Maybe it was once the star of a family gathering, holding your best chocolate cake, or maybe it's just been sitting there for years, unused and gathering dust. Well, now it has a new purpose. Bring it outside and place it somewhere in view, a patio table, a tree stump, or a quiet corner of your garden. Sprinkle in some birdseed and wait. You'll be surprised how quickly nature responds. Cardinals, finches, maybe even a bright blue jay or a delicate hummingbird might stop by. This simple repurposing turns an ordinary object into a welcome mat for your feathered neighbors. And the best part? You don't have to lift a finger once it's set up. You can enjoy the company of your garden even on the days when your body says, rest. Birdwatching is calming. It helps slow the mind, lower stress, and bring a little joy to the heart, especially for those of us who sometimes wake up with stiff joints or tired hands. These small moments of beauty mean the world. Sometimes healing doesn't come from a medicine bottle. It comes from watching life flutter just a few feet away. Tip 3. Keep your tools where you can find them with a ceramic container tool holder. If you've ever wandered around your yard with dirt on your hands, trying to remember where you last left your pruning shears, well, you're not alone. I've spent more time than I care to admit walking in circles, retracing my steps, checking the porch, looking under the bench, even patting down my own pockets. It's frustrating, and honestly, it steals away the peace we look for when we step into the garden. That's why I started using this simple method, and it has changed everything. Take a basic ceramic container, just one you're not using for plants. Place it near where you work in the garden and use it as a small open storage spot for all your daily essentials. I keep my gloves, pruning shears, seed packets, plant tags, and even a folded rag or two in there. Then I top it with a matching saucer to keep out the rain, dirt, and curious critters. Now, every time I step into the garden, I know exactly where my tools are. No more bending down into a messy shed, no more sorting through cluttered drawers. It's all there, easy to reach, easy to put back. This little container becomes like a trusted friend, always ready, always nearby. And for those of us who'd rather save our energy for the joyful parts of gardening, planting, smelling, watching things grow, this one small change makes all the difference. Gardening doesn't have to be complicated. Sometimes the smartest solutions are the simplest ones. And when they save your time, your back, and your patience, that's a win in my book. Tip 4. Turn a trash can into a raised garden planter. Let's be honest, getting down on your knees to garden used to be no problem. We'd kneel, dig, plant, and stand up without thinking twice. But these days, for many of us, getting back up takes a little more effort, sometimes a lot more. And the aches that come afterward? Not exactly what we signed up for when we just wanted to plant some tomatoes. That's why I love this next trick. It takes something most people throw away, an old trash can, and turns it into the perfect raised planter. It's practical, affordable, and best of all, so much easier on your body. Here's what you do. Take a clean trash can, plastic or metal, both work. Make sure it's sturdy. Drill or poke several small holes in the bottom for drainage. Then, fill it with good quality soil. Just like that, you've created a raised garden bed that sits at the perfect height. You can stand comfortably while planting, watering, and harvesting. No bending, no squatting, and no sore knees the next day. This setup is ideal for growing herbs, lettuce, flowers, and even small root vegetables like radishes or beets. Plus, because it's elevated, it also helps keep pests like rabbits and slugs away. I love this trick because it turns something we'd usually discard into something useful and meaningful. And let's face it, there's a certain satisfaction that comes from giving an old item a second life, especially when that second life brings beauty and nourishment right to your back porch. Gardening should feel good, and with this raised trash can planter, it finally can again. Tip 5. Give back to the bees and butterflies with a pollinator watering station. We often think about birds and squirrels visiting our gardens, but there's another group of garden guests who work quietly behind the scenes, making everything bloom. Bees, butterflies, and other tiny pollinators are the unsung heroes of every beautiful flower and every tomato that ripens on the vine. Without them, our gardens would struggle to grow. But on hot days, even these tiny workers need a break. Just like us, they get thirsty. And unfortunately, a deep bird bath or puddle can be dangerous for them. That's why I love this simple, thoughtful idea, a pollinator watering station. It's easy to make and costs absolutely nothing. Take a shallow dish or an unused bird feeder and fill it with clean water. Then add small stones or marbles into the dish. These provide safe landing spots for bees and butterflies so they can drink without falling into the water. Place the dish in a quiet, shady spot in your garden, somewhere away from foot traffic and curious pets. You'll be amazed how quickly it becomes a favorite stop for your garden's tiniest visitors. What I love most about this tip is that it reminds us we're part of something bigger. When we care for the creatures that help our gardens thrive, they return the favor in ways we can't always see but always feel. Building a little oasis for the pollinators is more than just a gardening tip. It's a small act of kindness. And kindness, just like a good garden, always grows. Tip 6. Grow more without spending a dime with free plant propagation. There's something deeply satisfying about watching a plant grow from nothing but a tiny sprig. It reminds us of life's quiet miracles, how, with a little water and patience, something green and beautiful can take root. But here's the catch. Buying new plants every season can get expensive fast, especially if, like me, you tend to fall in love with every herb, flower, and fern at the nursery. That's why I started propagating my own plants, and let me tell you, it's easier than you think, and it costs nothing at all. Start with a healthy plant you already love. Oregano, mint, coleus, and geraniums are great for beginners. Take a small cutting about 4 to 6 inches long right below a leaf node. Strip off the lower leaves and place the cutting in a glass of water. Set it near a sunny window and wait. In a few days or a week, you'll start to see roots forming. Once those roots grow a bit stronger, usually about 2 inches long, you can transfer the cutting into soil. Just like that, you have a brand new plant. It's not only a way to save money, but also a way to keep your favorite plants growing year after year. I have plants in my garden now that all came from one original mother plant, shared by a friend more than a decade ago. And every time I pass by them, I think of her. There's something beautiful about growing things from what you already have. It's the same spirit we grew up with. Waste nothing, reuse everything, and share what grows. And in the garden, that spirit still thrives. Tip 7. Turn an old plate into the perfect plant saucer. We all know that feeling. You water your potted plant, and suddenly there's a puddle on your porch or windowsill. The ceramic saucer absorbs too much, or the plastic ones crack over time. And when you go to buy new ones, they always seem more expensive than they should be. But here's a solution that's as charming as it is practical. Use an old plate. Yes, that extra ceramic plate you have sitting in the back of your cupboard, the one from a mismatched set, or maybe a gift you never quite used, can be the perfect plant saucer. It holds water beautifully, won't crack or absorb moisture, and adds a little touch of personality to your indoor or outdoor plant displays. I like to choose plates with patterns or colors that brighten up the space, a soft blue under a green fern or a floral plate beneath a blooming begonia. Suddenly, your plant setup feels intentional, stylish, and personal. And if you don't have extras at home, check your local thrift shop. You can often find beautiful single plates for less than $1. It's an affordable, creative way to upgrade your plant game without spending on plastic or store-bought items that wear out quickly. This little trick is about more than just saving money. It's about slowing down, seeing value in the things we already own, and bringing small touches of beauty into the everyday. That's what gardening is all about, creating joy in simple, thoughtful ways. Tip 8. Find free gardening supplies in your community. Let me ask you, how often have you seen someone throw out perfectly good garden supplies? Maybe it's a pile of bricks left by the sidewalk or a stack of empty pots someone no longer needs. What if I told you that with just a little searching, you could gather most of your gardening materials for free? It's true. And once you start looking, it's amazing what you can find. Local community sites like Facebook Marketplace, Craigslist, or neighborhood swap groups are full of people giving away things they no longer need, especially after a yard remodel or spring cleanup. I've seen listings for free topsoil, mulch, stepping stones, garden edging, planters, even outdoor furniture. One year, I picked up enough free bricks to build a winding path through my garden. And every time I walk it now, I smile knowing it cost me nothing but time and gratitude. Here's how to get started. Set aside a little time each week to browse these local listings. Use keywords like free garden, leftover soil, or pots available. And don't be shy about posting a message in your local group. A simple looking for unused garden supplies can open up more opportunities than you might expect. What I love about this tip is that it connects people. Someone gets to clear their space, you get something useful, and both of you walk away with a little more room to grow. In a world that often tells us to buy new, there's something deeply satisfying about finding value in what others leave behind. It's good for the wallet, good for the environment, and great for the garden. Tip 9. Breathe new life into old garden decor with a little paint. Time has a way of wearing things down, doesn't it? A statue that once stood tall and proud in the flower bed now looks faded. That charming birdhouse you once painted with your grandchild is starting to chip and flake. Even the old planter that used to brighten the patio has lost its color. But here's the thing, Worn doesn't mean worthless. One of the simplest, most satisfying ways to bring your garden back to life is with something you likely already have in your garage or shed: leftover paint. It doesn't take much. A can of spray paint from an old project or even leftover house paint can completely transform tired garden decor. That rusty metal planter? Give it a new coat in your favorite color. The faded gnome by the stepping stones? Brighten up his hat, touch up his boots, and suddenly he's smiling again. You don't have to be an artist. Just a fresh layer of color can make something old feel new again. It's not about perfection. It's about care, about giving love to the things that have shared your space over the years. And there's something symbolic about it too. As we age, we know that beauty doesn't always come in new packaging. Sometimes it shows up in how something has lasted. And when you take the time to freshen up a piece of your garden, you're also honoring the memories tied to it. You're not just painting over the wear, you're bringing forward the history with new life. Tip 10. Build a free bug hotel for a healthier garden. Not all garden bugs are pests. In fact, some of the tiniest creatures in your garden are working harder than you might think to keep your plants healthy and strong. Ladybugs, mason bees, and ground beetles all play an important role in natural pest control and pollination. But just like us, these little helpers need a safe, cozy place to rest. And that's where the idea of a bug hotel comes in. Now don't worry, this isn't some complicated building project. It's actually one of the easiest and most enjoyable things you can do with items you already have around the house. Start with a small wooden box, an empty coffee can, or even a piece of hollow bamboo. Then, gather natural materials: twigs, pine cones, dry leaves, bark, and bits of straw. Fill the container loosely with these materials and place it in a shaded, protected area of your garden, somewhere away from heavy foot traffic but still close enough for you to check in on. What happens next is amazing. Beneficial insects begin to move in. Ladybugs that eat aphids, mason bees that pollinate your flowers, beetles that help break down pests in the soil. Your garden becomes more balanced and alive, all thanks to a little shelter you made with your own hands. It's a reminder that when we work with nature instead of against it, wonderful things grow. And sometimes the smallest guests are the ones that make the biggest difference. Tip 11. Turn eggshells into gardening gold. Every morning, I make myself a simple breakfast, usually eggs and toast. And for years, I used to toss the eggshells straight into the trash without a second thought. But not anymore, because now I know those little shells are pure gardening gold. Eggshells are packed with calcium and minerals that your plants absolutely love, and they can be used in not just one but two very clever ways. The first way is as natural seed starters. After you crack your eggs, carefully rinse the shell halves and let them dry. Poke a tiny hole in the bottom for drainage, then fill each one with a bit of potting soil. Drop in a seed or two and place them in an egg carton on your windowsill. When the seedlings are ready to be planted outside, you can bury the entire shell in the ground. It will break down over time and enrich the soil as it does. The second way? Crushed eggshells make an excellent natural pest barrier. Slugs and snails don't like crawling over sharp edges, so if you sprinkle crushed shells around the base of your plants, you'll help keep those hungry little visitors at bay. It's amazing how something so small, something we usually throw away, can become a secret weapon in your garden. It's another reminder that nature gives us more than we realize. We just have to know how to use it. Tip 12. Turn cooking water into free nutrient-rich fertilizer. Here's something most of us have done 1,000 times. We boil vegetables, pasta, or eggs, and when we're finished, we pour that warm water right down the sink. Simple, habitual. But here's what most folks don't realize. Inside that water is a treasure chest of nutrients just waiting to help your plants grow. When you boil vegetables, minerals like calcium, magnesium, and potassium naturally seep out into the water. These are the very same nutrients plants crave. So instead of wasting that liquid gold, let it cool completely, and then use it to water your garden or your houseplants. It's important to note that this only works if the water is unsalted. Salt can damage the roots and dry out the soil. But if you're boiling plain potatoes or steaming greens without seasoning, that leftover water becomes a free, organic fertilizer. It's a small change in habit, but the impact is powerful. Over time, your soil becomes richer, your plants greener, and your harvest fuller, all thanks to something you used to throw away. To me, this tip is about more than gardening. It's a reminder of how much goodness still exists in the everyday, how waste can become nourishment, and how we can live a little more wisely just by paying attention. Tip 13. Stop weeds the easy way with old newspapers. Let's talk about something we all deal with: those pesky weeds. They pop up overnight, they grow faster than our flowers, and pulling them feels like a never-ending chore. And if your knees or back aren't what they used to be, that chore becomes downright painful. But here's a beautiful, natural, and free solution: newspaper. Yes, the same pages you read with your morning coffee can become your best defense against weeds. All you have to do is lay a few sheets of newspaper over the soil in your garden beds, right between your plants. Then, cover the paper with mulch or straw to keep it from blowing away. The newspaper acts as a light blocker, preventing weeds from getting the sunlight they need to grow. Over time, the paper breaks down naturally and adds organic matter back into your soil. This method saves your back, your time, and your energy. No more constant bending or pulling, no harsh chemicals, just simple, smart gardening. And maybe best of all, it gives new purpose to something you already have. It's one more way to turn everyday items into tools of quiet transformation. Because gardening isn't just about flowers, it's about working with the earth, not against it. There's a certain kind of worry that only gardeners understand: the fear of going away for a few days and returning to wilted plants, or even just getting caught up in daily life and forgetting to water for a couple of hot afternoons. It happens to the best of us. But here's a trick that gives you peace of mind and your plants the steady moisture they need. And all it takes is an old plastic bottle. Take a clean bottle with a cap, something like a 1-liter or 2-liter soda bottle. Poke 4 or 5 tiny holes in the cap, fill the bottle with water, and screw the cap back on. Then, turn the bottle upside down and push it into the soil near the base of your plant. The water will slowly seep out through the holes over the course of a few days, keeping the soil gently moist without overwatering. This is perfect for hot summers, for forgetful days, or for those of us who are simply trying to take better care of our bodies. No more daily bending, no more hoses, no more stress. What I love about this method is how simple it is. There's no complicated system, no timers or gadgets, just you, a bottle, and a little bit of know-how. That's the kind of wisdom that stands the test of time. Space. For many of us, it's the one thing we wish we had more of, especially when it comes to gardening. Whether you're living in a smaller home now, have limited mobility, or simply want less ground to cover, this next tip will open up a whole new world of possibilities. Take an old fabric shoe organizer, the kind that hangs on the back of a door. Each pocket in that organizer is the perfect size for growing small plants like herbs, lettuce, strawberries, or even flowers. Simply hang the organizer on a sturdy fence, railing, or wall that gets good sunlight. Fill each pocket with potting soil, plant your seeds or seedlings, and water as needed. Because the pockets are small and upright, water drains easily, and you can tend to your plants without ever bending down. This is one of the best ways to create a vertical garden, especially if you have limited mobility or just want to keep things simple and manageable. It's also a wonderful way to reuse something you already have in the house. And the view, a wall of green, full of life, right at eye level, is beautiful, accessible, and efficient. This trick reminds us that gardening isn't about how much land you have. It's about how much love and creativity you bring to the space you do have. Well, my friend, there you have it. 15 simple, thoughtful, and completely free gardening hacks that can help you enjoy your garden more while working a little less. Because at this stage in life, it's not about doing more. It's about doing what matters, with ease, with joy, and with heart.